Hello students, welcome back. I am sure all of you are doing well. Wherever you are, you must be studying also and you must be learning new things in your life. Even though there might be vacations now, still we have to keep our touch with the new things. And today, what we are going to discuss as a part of our series regarding history, that to medieval India, we are going to discuss such a personality. This personality is not just in the pages of history books, okay? The personality which we are going to discuss today, this personality is not just in the history books or the pages of history books. This personality in itself is a life. Right? This personality in itself is a life, and every one of us can learn a lot from this personality. And at least some of the traits we can adopt and adapt with regards to today's personality. So let's find out which personality we are talking about. Yes, of course, you must have guessed correctly. आप लोगों ने सही पहचाना होगा. We are talking about none other than Akbar. Okay, one of the greatest monarchs of India, one of the greatest rulers that India as well as the world has seen. पूरी दुनिया और भारत या हिंदुस्तान दोनों ने देखा हुआ एक बहुत ही नामी गिरामी बादशाह है. सही मायने में शहनशाह या जो बादशाह थे, सिर्फ उनके मिलिट्री विक्ट्रीज या जो उनके एम्पायर का एक्सपांशन है उसकी वजह से नहीं, उनकी ऑल राउंड डेवलपमेंट या ऑल राउंड जो उनकी पॉलिसीज थी जिसकी वजह से इस पूरे हिंदुस्तान को बांध के रखा है एक अच्छी तरीके से, बहुत बढ़िया से बरकत और तरक्की जिसने लाई थी. So that personality is none other than the one of the greatest emperors, Mughal Emperor Akbar. So who is Akbar? As already we are discussing about the Mughal Empire, we discuss about the Babur, who was the founder of Mughal Empire, and we also discuss about Humayun, the eldest son of the Babur, how the Humayun had faced the troubles in his life. And then we were discussing during the time of Humayun itself that when Humayun had lost the whole of his empire, so he was given a shelter or asylum first by the Rana Prasad, the very Rana of Amarkot, in a Sindh region. And here Humayun, who had married his second wife, Hamida Banu Begum. So here we will see the Hamida Banu Begum had given a birth to Akbar at Amarkot in Sindh. And then we discussed that Humayun went towards Persia, and with the help of Persian army, he was able to regain his empire. So for the early part of his life, Akbar, one of the greatest monarchs of India, he basically grew at a very place of Amarkot, the very fort of Amarkot, where the Rana Prasad used to live or stay. Here only the initial upbringing of the Akbar was ensured. Then, now we will see, once Humayun died, at that time Akbar, who was just or nearly 13 years of age, at that time Akbar was camping at a place called Kalanaur in Pakistani Punjab. Okay, Akbar basically he was camping at Kalanaur in Pakistani Punjab. Why? Because Akbar was commanding the operations against Afghan rebels, right? Just like his father had defeated the Afghans. Now again those Afghan rebels who were trying to raise their head, Akbar was commanding the operation. Here Akbar got news, right? At Kalanaur Akbar got news that his father died unfortunately at Delhi, and immediately Akbar was crowned at a very place of Kalanaur in 1556. अकबर को क्राउन कहाँ किया गया? कलानौर में किया गया 1556 में. Then you will see, at a very tender age of 13, when he became emperor, so obviously there were so many people who wanted to dethrone Akbar, who wanted to kill Akbar, and who wanted to, we can say, snatch the throne, who wanted to occupy the throne. But here Akbar was basically protected by his regent, and he is famous as Param Khan. जो अकबर के रीजेंट है उनका नाम था बैराम खान. तो उन्होंने अकबर को अपने हुमायूं की तरह, एक फादर की तरह उनको प्रोटेक्ट किया था, क्योंकि बैराम खान बहुत ही कॉन्फिडेंट पर्सन थे किसके? हुमायूं के. हुमायूं हैड गिवन द टाइटल ऑफ खान एक खानान टू बैराम खान. So Param Khan acted like a father to Akbar. during the first 5 years of Akbar's career. Okay, and then we will see Akbar was able to consolidate the Mughal Empire with the help of Param Khan. Okay? Akbar was able to consolidate the Mughal Empire with the help of Param Khan. And normally, what happens for any common man, or in the life of any common man, the major challenges normally occur, okay, when the person gains adulthood. Okay, as the person progresses in his life or her life, the person faces the challenges. But the great personalities like Akbar, here that's why we have to understand and we have to learn the things about Akbar. In the case of great personalities like Akbar, if you see, Akbar faced the greatest challenge of his life at a very tender age of 13. At the very start of his career, when he should be playing with other boys, he faced the greatest challenge. He had to face a mighty challenge from Afghans. Even the Afghans were declining, okay, but they had one of the greatest commanders which Indian history has seen. अफगान के पास एक ऐसा कमांडर था, वो इंडियन हिस्ट्री का वन ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट कमांडर माना जाता है. एंड इवन दो अफगान्स माइट बी we can say having different religious beliefs, but their commander, whose name is Hemu or Hemachandra, he was Hindu. Afghans were Muslims, but their commander was Hemu or Hemachandra, who was Hindu. And now the Afghans took upon Akbar at a very same place where his grandfather had fought against Ibrahim Lodi. अभी यही अफगान्स, ठीक है, हेमू जिनको लीड कर रहे थे, वो अकबर के साथ लड़ने के लिए आ गए, जंग में आ गए. कहाँ पे? उसी पानीपत में जहाँ पे अकबर के ग्रैंडफादर ने फाइट किया था इब्राहिम लोदी के खिलाफ. सो द बैटल विच वॉज फॉट बाय ग्रैंडफादर ऑफ अकबर, दैट इज बाबर, it is called as the first battle of Panipat. And now Akbar faced second battle of Panipat against Afghans led by Hemu. And mind you, if you read Akbar in detail, you will see Hemu was almost about to win the battle. Hemu was almost about to win the battle. But as we say, the famous adage, fortune favors the brave. So the luck favored Akbar, and ultimately with the help of Param Khan, Akbar was able to win the battle. अकबर ने वो बैटल जीत लिया, एंड उसी वजह से पूरी इंडिया की हिस्ट्री अलग हो गई. शायद अगर देखिए, फिर से सोचिए, हेमू अगर जीत जाता तो इंडिया की हिस्ट्री कुछ अलग होती, लेकिन हिस्ट्री को कुछ और मंजूर था. अकबर वन द बैटल एंड देन द हिस्ट्री वाज गोइंग टू टेक अ न्यू टर्न. देन वंस अकबर वन द बैटल एंड स्टार्टेड कंसोलिडेटिंग हिज एम्पायर, देन अकबर डिसाइडेड that instead of fighting against the Rajputs, his grandfather Babur had fought against the Rajputs. Akbar decided he will go for befriending the Rajputs, because the Rajputs are very brave, one of the best warriors the world has ever seen. So instead of fighting against them, we should befriend them. We should basically take the advantage of their warrior skills. And then Akbar started a friendly Rajput policy. He started marrying with the Rajput princesses. So in 1562, when Akbar was hardly 18 to 19 years of age, Akbar married a very famous Rajput princess from today's Jaipur, which was called Amer in those time. आज का जो जयपुर है, उस समय उसको आमेर कहते थे. वहाँ के एक राजा थे, राजा भारमल. राजा भारमल जो है, उनकी बेटी थी प्रिंसेस हरक्का. उनके साथ 1562 में अकबर ने शादी की. And that was, as I mentioned, that was a turning point. This marriage was a turning point in the history of India as well as Mughals. यहाँ से आपको दिखेगा सारे राजपूत का सपोर्ट एक के बाद एक अकबर को आते हुए दिखेगा. ठीक है. Once the Raja Bharmal, we can say, he committed his own daughter to the Akbar through marriage relations, then we will see each and every Rajput ruler from Rajputana, they started, we can say, having friendly relations with Akbar. They would go for a marriage relations also, otherwise they would also go for friendly relations. And because of this, what you will see, Akbar got the services of brilliant Rajput warriors and commanders like Raja Man Singh, Raja Bhagwan Das and so on. Raja Man Singh हो गए, Raja Bhagwan Das हो गए, ऐसे बढ़िया से जाबाज राजपूतों का अकबर को सपोर्ट मिला. अकबर ने उनको बहुत अच्छा रिस्पेक्ट दिया. Akbar gave the respect to them and very high senior positions in his court. And that's why you will see all Rajput states submitted to Akbar except one. Except one. The Mewar Rajput kingdom, the very Mewar of Rana Sangram Singh, who had fought against Babur. Very Mewar of Rana Sangram Singh, who had fought against Babur. This Mewar did not accept the superiority of Akbar or sovereignty of Akbar. And now what we are going to see, the history was again going to repeat itself. If Sangram Singh, who was a grandfather of the Maharana Pratap, if he fought with Babur, then Babur's grandson, that is Akbar, he was going to fight with Maharana Pratap. Right? So for Akbar and Pratap, for both of them, their respective grandfathers had fought against themselves. Okay, and now again you will see Akbar and Pratap were going to fight in a very famous battle, the Battle of Haldi Ghati in 1576. Okay, and in this battle you will see Akbar's forces were led by very famous Rajput warrior, Raja Man Singh, a very famous Rajput king, Raja Man Singh. Raja Man Singh defeated Rana Pratap of Mewar. Okay, then Akbar basically he combined his Rajput policy with broad religious toleration. Okay? Akbar followed a very secular policy, and as a part of his secular policy, as a part of his Hindu-Muslim unity, he abolished pilgrim tax upon Hindus, and then he abolished jizya, which was an Islamic poll tax. जजिया जो होता है वो इस्लामिक पोल टैक्स है जो कुरान की तरफ से आपको अप्रूव किया गया है कि आप नॉन मुस्लिम्स के ऊपर लगा सकते हो. और ये ध्यान में रखना है, जजिया इज इम्पोज अपॉन every non-Muslim. Well, normally pilgrim tax is Hindu specific. So both these taxes were abolished by Akbar. Then we would see Akbar's Rajput policy proved to be very beneficial both to the Akbar and Mughal Empire as well as to Rajputs also. Why? Because the alliance which the Rajputs now had with the Mughals. Okay? As I mentioned, Akbar got the services of the bravest of the warriors, and Rajput themselves, they got, we can say, the association with the very power which now India was witnessing in the form of Akbar. And in fact, what we saw, Akbar always gave the highest respect to the Rajputs. Akbar never tried to impose his sovereignty upon them. He allowed them to be autonomous. Akbar ने क्या किया? He allowed them or Rajputs to be autonomous in their own areas, or their own states or kingdoms. And that's why this friendship ensured a long peace. Okay? That's why this Mughal Rajput friendship or alliance ensured a long peace in Rajasthan and North India. And it secured the stability for whole of India. It secured the defense, security and stability for whole of India. And because of the Rajputs, and especially Rajput wives, we will see Akbar's religious policy was shaped. The very famous tolerant religious policy or a secular policy of the Akbar, because of which Akbar is very famous in history pages. That was mainly because of the some of the factors. कुछ factors उसके लिए responsible थे, जिसकी वजह से टॉलरेंट रिलीजियस पॉलिसी अकबर फॉलो कर रहे थे. तो कौन से फैक्टर थे? पहला, अकबर का बचपन से ही कांटेक्ट आया था सूफी सेंट्स के साथ, लाइक शेख सलीम चिश्ती, who was a very famous Sufi saint and he was a patron saint of the Mughals. So ऐसे सूफी सेंट्स के साथ अकबर का कांटेक्ट आ गया, और उनकी लिबरल जो पॉलिसी है, उनकी जो लिबरल और टॉलरेंट रिलीजियस पॉलिसी है, उससे अकबर प्रभावित हुए थे, इन्फ्लुएंस हुए थे. Then Akbar's teacher Abdul Latif. A very curious thing I would like to tell you. Akbar basically, he was very interested in learning and education. But unfortunately, you will see, Akbar was completely illiterate, and he remained completely illiterate throughout his life. Why? He was an emperor, he had resources, he had a passion for education. Then why he could not learn? So the point was that Akbar basically, he had one disease, a genetic disease known as dyslexia. Akbar had one genetic disease known as dyslexia. So genetically, Akbar could not read and write. Because of that genetic disease, Akbar could not read and write. But Akbar used to learn many things just by listening. Akbar used to learn many things. He used to gain the knowledge of so many things by just listening. He used to listen and understand the things. And here the key role was played by Akbar's teacher and preceptor Abdul Latif. And he also shaped Akbar's secular and tolerant religious policy. अब्दुल लतीफ़ जो है उन्होंने भी अकबर की सेक्युलर और जो रिलीजियस टॉलरेंट पॉलिसी है उसको शेप किया था. देन और एक फैक्टर था, जैसे मैंने बताया कि अकबर का जो एसोसिएशन था इंटेलेक्चुअल लोगों के साथ. फॉर एग्जांपल शेख मुबारक, अकबर के टाइम में एक बहुत बड़े फेमस इंटेलेक्चुअल थे शेख मुबारक, और उनके दो बेटे, दोनों जुड़वा थे वो, अबुल फजल एंड अबुल फैजी. शेख मुबारक और उनके दो बेटे थे अबुल फजल एंड अबुल फैजी. ये जो इंटेलेक्चुअल्स थे उनकी वजह से भी अकबर का जो आपका आउटलुक है लाइफ की तरफ देखने का, सोसाइटी की तरफ देखने का, जो इंडिया के नेटिव्स है उनकी तरफ देखने का बहुत ही आपका लिबरल हो गया था. एंड देन यू विल सी very Rajput wives of the Akbar, they also played a very, very crucial role. As the famous adage goes, behind every successful man there is a woman. So here there were many women, the many Rajput wives of the Akbar, who played a crucial role in shaping the life of Akbar, the personality of the Akbar, and his policies towards different subjects. And in return, or as a reciprocity, Akbar allowed his Rajput wives who were Hindus to worship their own gods. All of you must have seen the movie Jodha Akbar. जोधा अकबर मूवी आपने सबने देखी होगी, जहाँ पे ऋतिक रोशन जिन्होंने अकबर का रोल प्ले किया है, वो ऐश्वर्या राय जिन्होंने जोधा का रोल प्ले किया था, उनको अपने पैलेस में भगवान श्री कृष्ण का मंदिर बनाने के लिए परमिशन देते हैं. और ये बात जो ऑर्थोडॉक्स उलेमाज और मौलवीज रहती है उनको पसंद नहीं आती. ये मूवी का सीन आपको याद होगा, यहाँ हम देख सकते हैं कि अकबर की पॉलिसी कैसी थी. सो उन्होंने अपने राजपूत वाइफ्स को उनके अपने अपने जो गॉड्स थे, भगवान थे, उनकी पूजा करने का अधिकार दिया था. एंड देन अकबर हिमसेल्फ गॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग डिफरेंट रिलीजन्स. सारे रिलीजन्स को समझने के लिए अकबर अभी क्यूरियस हो गए थे. सो टू अंडरस्टैंड द डिफरेंट प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ डिफरेंट रिलीजन्स, Akbar basically constructed one we can say a conference hall, okay? A very big hall known as Ibadat Khana at his new capital Fatehpur Sikri. अकबर का एक नया कैपिटल अकबर ने बनवाया था 1573 में, फतेहपुर सिकरी. और वो क्यों बनवाया था? अकबर ने 1572 में गुजरात के ऊपर विक्ट्री ली थी, और उसकी गुजरात के ऊपर जो विक्ट्री उनको मिली थी अकबर को, उसको सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए अकबर ने नया कैपिटल बनाया. फतेह मतलब विक्ट्री, सो फतेहपुर सिकरी. तो वहाँ पे उन्होंने एक बिल्डिंग या कॉन्फ्रेंस हॉल बनवाया, इबादत खाना, और उस इबादत खाना में अकबर बैठे थे. एंड ही यूज्ड टू इनवाइट डिफरेंट स्कॉलर्स, द स्कॉलर्स ऑफ डिफरेंट रिलीजियस फेथ, एंड ही यूज्ड टू डिस्कस द डिफरेंट रिलीजियस पॉलिसीज एंड द प्रिंसिपल्स एट द इबादत खाना. दैट ऑल्सो शेप्ड द सेक्युलर एंड लिबरल पॉलिसी ऑफ अकबर. एज आई मेंशन्ड, दिस लिबरल policy of the Akbar was disliked by Muslim ulemas, and even Akbar also disliked the interference of the Muslim ulemas in political matters. Even Akbar also disliked the interference of the Muslim ulemas into political matters. This also we have to keep in mind. And that's why in 1579 Akbar issued one order or a decree. In 1579 Akbar issued one order or a decree known as Decree of Infallibility, known as Decree of Infallibility, also called Mazhar. Akbar issued one decree or an order known as Decree of Infallibility, known as Mazhar. And then by this decree he proclaimed that Akbar, he has not abandoned Islam. He is born as a Muslim, he will die as a Muslim, but he will basically remain secular. That was made clear by Akbar by having this mazhar or a decree of infallibility. Then in 1582, to give the proper shape to his secular policy, Akbar brought a new, we can say, a kind of code of conduct known as Din-e-Ilahi. In 1582, Akbar brought a code of conduct known as Din-e-Ilahi. Some historians have interpreted Din-e-Ilahi as a new religion, but practically it was not a religion as such. Let alone a religion, it wasn't a faith, nor it was a sect. Okay, it was a moral, ethical, and social code of conduct. Though Din-e-Ilahi had a faith in one God, though Din-e-Ilahi had a faith in one God, and then we will see Din-e-Ilahi contained good principles of all religions, and it was without any dogmas and traditions. Din-e-Ilahi में कोई भी traditions, customs, rituals नहीं थे, और सारे religions के अच्छे जो चीज़ें हैं, points है वो Din-e-Ilahi include करता था. And Din-e-Ilahi, what was the objective? It wanted to bridge the gap and the gulf between all the religions, to, we can say, remove any kind of misunderstanding which the two religions might have. So in that fashion, you will see that brilliant policy of the Akbar in the field of religious affairs was visible, and which led to the shaping of composite Hindu-Muslim society or Indo-Islamic society. This point we have to keep in mind, and that's why today such a policy is very, very important in a current Indian context. Now, if you come to Akbar's land revenue system, then you will see, because if you have to run such a big empire, which is multicultural, which is multilinguistic, which consists of different regions, climates, and having a considerable population, if you want to go for a development, welfare, and economic policies, a strong revenue and taxation base is required. Okay, a strong revenue and taxation base is required. So that's why Akbar brought a new land revenue policy known as Zapti or a Bandobast system. Akbar basically introduced a new land revenue system known as Zapti or a Bandobast system. By 1579-1580, Akbar's brilliant revenue officer Raja Todarmal, by 1579-1580, Akbar's brilliant revenue official Raja Todarmal, he basically modified this Zapti or a Bandobast system, and then it was called as the Shala. Then it came to be known as Ain-e-Dashala. This point we have to keep in mind. And then you will see, in Ain-e-Dashala, there were certain factors which were taken into account. Okay, so the scientific measurement of land on a uniform basis was given the importance. Raja Todarmal, he gave clear-cut importance to the scientific land measurement on a uniform basis. And for this scientific land measurement on a uniform basis, Todarmal introduced a special land measurement unit known as Ilahi Gaj. Todarmal introduced a standardized measurement unit known as Ilahi Gaj. And these are the areas where you will get questions in an examination. In your regular examinations also, and in an IAS exam also, that we have to keep in mind. And then you will see this very Ilahi Gaj, a standard measurement unit. It was based upon Gaj-e-Sikandari. It was based upon Gaz-e-Sikandari, a measurement unit which was introduced by Sikandar Lodi. Gaz-e-Sikandari, ये सिकंदर लोधी ने इंट्रोड्यूस किया हुआ लैंड मेजरमेंट यूनिट था. वही सिकंदर लोधी वो दिल्ली के सुल्तान थे, और उसी गज-ए-सिकंदरी को शेर शाह सूरी ने इस्तेमाल किया था. The very Gaz-e-Sikandari was used by Sher Shah Suri also. So now Akbar basically brought this Ilahi Gaj. Then in Ain-e-Dashala, Akbar fixed the revenue on the basis of average yield of last 10 years. Okay, in Ain-e-Dashala, Akbar fixed the land revenue on the basis of last 10 years production and productivity. This is a very crucial point. You can mark it in a highlighted way. And then Akbar also categorized his land in 4 different categories. Then you will see Akbar categorized the land into 4 different categories. First is a polage land. First category is a polage land, the land which was cultivated every year without fail. Second is Parauti land. Second is a Parauti land, the land which was cultivated every 2 years. That means every alternate year it would be kept fallow. That is called Parauti. Then there is Jhajar land. After Parauti there is a Jhajar land. Yes, spelling is Chachar, but the pronunciation is Jhajar. Jhajar means the land which was cultivated every 3 to 4 years. So it will remain fallow for long time. And then there is a land known as Banjar land. Okay, Banjar land is a land which might be cultivated once in 5 years. So it will be kept fallow for 5 years or so. So this was a categorization. But again, one more exam oriented point that we have to keep in mind. Akbar and his officials, while considering or assessing the land revenue, they did not take into account, mind my words, they did not take into account soil qualities. Okay, soil quality को ध्यान में रखा नहीं गया था while taking or assessing the land revenue or ascertaining the produce. This point we have to keep in mind. The basis of land classification for Akbar was the continuity or discontinuity of the cultivation. अकबर के लैंड क्लासिफिकेशन का बेसिस क्या है कि एक पर्टिकुलर कैटेगरी की लैंड कितने कंटिन्यूसली कल्टीवेट हो रही है या कितने कंटिन्यूसली कल्टीवेट नहीं हो रही है, उसके मुताबिक वो कैटेगराइज करता था. और इसलिए हम देख पाएंगे जो एवरी ईयर कल्टीवेट हो रही है वो सबसे टॉप कैटेगरी की लैंड मानी गई है. जो हर 2 साल में हो रही है वो उसके नीचे आती है. 3 से 4 साल में एक आध बार कल्टीवेट होती है वो उसके नीचे है. 5 साल में जो कल्टीवेट हो रही है वो सबसे नीचे है. So these are very very important points for an exam perspective. And then finally we will come for today's session about one more policy of Akbar, which is also very very crucial for exam, for any exam, and for overall understanding of Akbar's policy and administration. That is Mansabdari system. So what is this Mansabdari system? First, let us understand the origin of the Mansabdari. So Mansabdari system originated in Central Asia. Right? Mansabdari system had an origin in Central Asia. We discussed initially in case of Babur. And Babur was an ancestor of Genghis Khan from his maternal side. So it was a Genghis Khan, the ancestors of the Mughal, or a maternal ancestor of the Mughals, who had devised the Mansabdari system. And some features of the Mansabdari system, they were already used by Alauddin Khilji and Sher Shah Suri. Alauddin Khilji and Sher Shah Suri in their respective military reforms, they had already used some of the features of Mansabdari. So now we should know what exactly is this Mansabdari. So Mansabdari system basically is based upon the term Mansab. Okay, Mansabdari system जो है वो मनसब नाम का जो टर्म है उसके ऊपर बेस है. तो ये मनसब क्या होती है? मनसब is basically a rank which is assigned to every officer under this system. Mansab is a rank which is assigned to every officer in this system. This we have to keep in mind. Under Akbar, lowest rank was 10 and highest rank was 5,000. Okay, under Akbar, lowest rank was 10, highest rank was 5,000, and the top ranks were always reserved only for the princes of royal blood. The top ranks like 5,000 or even higher, they would be reserved only for princes of royal blood. So under Akbar, his son Jahangir, he would get the rank of 5,000 or even above that. Then these ranks were divided into 2 parts, Izzat and Sawar. So these ranks were divided into 2 parts, Izzat and Sawar. Today the word we use Izzat, Izzat ये very common word है, हम use करते हैं हमारे daily life में. So this word Izzat comes from here, Zat. Zat means what? Zat means your personal status, social and economic status. Zat means your personal socio-economic status. Okay? And obviously that status would be dependent upon सवार rank. तो आपका जो status है वो कैसे fix होगा? Obviously आपके अंडर कितने सवार है, ठीक? सवार मीन्स द कैवलरी मैन, घोड़सवार, ठीक? तो जितने ज़्यादा सवार आपके अंडर उतना आपका रैंक और स्टेटस ज़्यादा. अगर आपके अंदर 10 घोड़सवार है या कैवलरी मैन है, so you have the lowest rank. If you have the 5,000 soldiers under you, you have the top rank. Okay? So this was the case. And obviously every savar or a cavalry man, okay, he had to maintain the 2 horses. Every savar or a cavalry man, he had to maintain at least 2 horses. Okay, so that if the one horse is injured in a battle or war, then he should have a reserve horse. Okay, this was a concept, or this was a logic behind that. And again, what we have to see, these Mansab ranks, they were only given as a part of your service to Mughal Empire. They were not at all hereditary. Okay, this Mansab rank is not going to pass from you to your successors. Once you retire, the rank is gone. And whenever, even when you were in service, all the appointments and promotions, with regards to Mansabs, they were directly associated with Akbar. Okay, so all appointments would be made by Akbar, all promotions would be made by Akbar, and each and every dismissal of the Mansab rank would also be taken by Akbar himself. And one more thing that we have to keep in about Mansabdari system is that Mansabdari system included all public services. That means all civilian as well as military officials. They were bound to serve as a Mansabdar, except judiciary or judicial officers. Okay? Except judiciary or judicial officers, all other civil and military officials, they were bound or they were covered by a so-called Mansabdari system. So, my dear students, definitely you must have enjoyed this session. Very, very important session, as I mentioned. While understanding the different things, you must have got the idea how important Akbar was and Akbar will remain. So today we will like to take a break here only. We will like to stop here only. But I will like to remind you, Akbar is not yet over. Akbar abhi khatam nahi hue hai. और कुछ very interesting things we have to see about Akbar. But that we should keep as a part of our reserve, as a part of our stock for a next session or a next lecture. Okay, so that our interest in Akbar will continue to be maintained, and our interest in history as a whole will also be continuously maintaining and increasing day by day. So on this note, I would like to take the leave of all of you. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Enjoy.